All right, let's move on to item 6.4, our 9:08 a.m. item, presentation of proclamation designating June 2024 as LGBTQIA plus Pride Month in Lake County. And I believe I have a few people in the audience that would want to come up and join me on the podium. Thank you so much for joining me. Proclamation designating June 2024 as LGBTQIA plus Pride Month in Lake County. Whereas the United States was founded on the principle that all men are created equal, and the fulfillment of this promise has expanded over the years to cover all people. Some of the most inspiring moments in our history have arisen from civil rights movements, bringing one group after another under the umbrella of our most revered and foundational principle of American society. And whereas in the movement toward equal rights for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, LGBTQIA+, and people of all other gender identities and sexual orientations, a historic turning point occurred on June 28, 1969 in New York City with the onset of the Stonewall riots. During these riots, LGBTQIA+ citizens rose up and resisted police harassment that arose out of discriminatory criminal laws that have since been declared unconstitutional. In the 4 decades since, civil rights for LGBTQIA+ people have grown substantially, and LGBTQIA+ Pride celebrations have taken place around the country every June to commemorate the beginning of the Stonewall riots. And whereas California has been a leader in advancing the civil rights of its LGBTQIA+ citizens with leaders such as Harvey Milk. While further progress is needed, it is important to recognize and celebrate the substantial gains that have been achieved. And whereas Lake County's local elected leaders such as Denise Rushing and Joey Louise, thank you so much for joining us today, not only represented their constituents, but also represented the LGBTQIA+ community within Lake County. The Board of Supervisors also recognizes the many staff members from line staff to department heads who are part of the LGBTQIA+ community and serve Lake County. And whereas, while LGBTQIA+ Americans remain marginalized and under attack through legislation in states across our country, the Lake County Board of Supervisors stands firm against intolerance, discrimination, and injustice, and is deeply committed to fostering communities where all people can live free and authentic lives. And whereas LGBTQIA+ residents in Lake County represent our families, our friends, our neighbors, our teachers, our employees, and our community leaders. Across all religions, races, and communities, there are LGBTQIA+ people helping our nation to become a more perfect union and reaching our ideals proclaimed in our Declaration of Independence that all people are created equal and therefore deserve to be embraced and treated as equals. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Board of Supervisors of the County of Lake does hereby designate June 2024 as LGBTQIA+ Pride Month in Lake County and calls upon its residents to eliminate prejudice everywhere it exists and celebrate the diversity of our communities, passed and adopted this 4th day of June, 2024.
Guess I need the mic, huh? I'll keep my remarks brief. I just want to say it's truly humbling to be included in a proclamation with the great Harvey Milk. Harvey understood that the single most important political act that anyone could take was to simply be themselves, to come out to their family, their friends, their neighbors, and their coworkers. He understood this was important because hatred is grounded in fear. And once people understood that they lived with people who were gay, they could no longer be afraid. So to take that act of coming out was a political act. To reveal one's true nature is a political act. And I'll say personally that when I ran for office, I was told that I needed to hide who I was in order to win. And I said, I'm not going to do that. So I'm pretty sure Lake County is smart enough to figure out whether they want to vote for me or not, based on my credentials. So anyway, that's all I have to say. And I want to thank my partner, Loretta, for being here and for standing by me as I served on the Board of Supervisors and also now. Thank you.
I'll try to keep my comments brief, but I probably won't be successful. In this room just a few decades ago, somebody on that dais said that we could not issue a proclamation about HIV/AIDS awareness because that disease only kills sexual deviants and drug addicts. From this dais in this room, times have changed, and this board has been the biggest ally board in the history of Lake County. All of you. EJ, you are an example of Native leadership. You're amazing. You taught me about the Pomo culture of two-spirited people and how they were always accepted for 10,000 years in this place. Jessica, you put the flag up. You honor our community. You're amazing. In your re-election, you wouldn't let hate rule the campaign. You're an amazing woman and a hard worker, and we're lucky that you represent us. Bruno, my political protege, I taught him everything he knows. And then he took my council seat. Stop taking jobs from LGBT people and you'll be the perfect advocate. Bruno, you lead with equality and passion and love, and I am so proud of you and what you've accomplished for this county. Moke, 400 generations your family has called this place home, and you were the first to serve here. And I have a lot of LGBT friends who have worked for your tribe, and they were treated with dignity and respect. And you are a good man, Moke. Thank you for serving. Michael Green, you activist, you. But as far as straight, cisgendered older men go, they don't get better than Michael Green. He's a big advocate. Your leadership, thank you for filling in this seat when needed, and you are a great, great supporter of the LGBT community, and thank you so much. Denise, you heard her. She's amazing, but the first campaign I ever walked on was yours. And you showed me that you can be somebody out in Lake County, and you are a mentor, and I love you and I respect you, and I'm so glad to share this moment with you. There's some other LGBT leaders that need to be mentioned in this county. Forgive me if I slaughter names, but I'm good at that. Charles Jajordes and Scotty McNeil were the first openly gay business owners in Lake County. They had a bar that was LGBT friendly here in Lakeport in the early 80s. And they were faced with bigotry and harassment, but they endured. And Scotty was here, they were here most of their lives, being great members of this community. Mark Cogdill, who was the executive for Canocti Harbor at its peak, was a great LGBT leader and a great mentor of mine, and I had the honor of working under him. Pastor John Pavoni is the first open Methodist minister in Lake County at Lower Lake Methodist Church, and he is an amazing man, and he survived the AIDS plague and has worked for AIDS victims in our community for years. And also Rick Schlosinger, who was the Methodist minister over in Clear Lake Oaks. Carol Hutchinson, my least favorite county employee ever, but she led the county CAO's office as an out, proud lesbian, and she deserves to be mentioned here today. Carolyn Barilli, who is the first out museum curator in the county, and she reminded me that she's not the first LGBT person in that position, but the first one's out because so many people served in fear and hid who they were, unlike Denise and unlike myself, but they were scared to come out and be themselves, but they served this county and this community with honor. Marvin Butler, one of the most amazing planning commissioners this county has ever had. Rest in peace, Marvin. A great man, a great LGBT community member who is out and proud. And Kevin Burke. Kevin Burke, the former police chief of Lakeport, may he rest in peace, who also took on the job as city manager when no one else would and represented this community so well. And was just a saint, and was out before it was cool. And then Brad Rasmussen, that's going to join the board. He was under Kevin. He was kind of his protege, and he's made the Lakeport Police Department a safe place. You can go in the lobby. It says so. He's trained his people to represent the community, and I'm so glad he's going to be joining you all. He is a great ally, and I'm going to mention some other allies who are not just liberal. You know, they're making our lives a pawn in the political game, and we are not. There are so many great conservative Republicans who are allies, like Rob Brown, my friend. We probably don't agree on 90% of the things, but 10% of the things we bonded and created a friendship. And he has been an ally, even though you wouldn't think he is. Brian Martin grabbed my butt once, and it wasn't like a Me Too moment. I didn't think it instigated that, but it was a friendly, not real sexual moment. But I knew then that Brian Martin, our Republican sheriff, was a good ally of our community, and he always treated me with dignity and respect. And Rob, I know you are too, our current sheriff, and it is so wonderful that you serve. Pastor Larry Fanning of First Baptist Church for 30 years in Clear Lake. He told me he would never preach bad about LGBT people because of his feminine qualities. He was bullied all through his life. And I always felt welcome and loved in his church. Thank you, Larry. Let's talk KPFZ. KPFZ, for almost 2 decades, our Lake County Community Radio, has had an LGBTQ issue show. And I have had the honor to co-host it for about 5 years now. It's an important voice for this community. Helena is helping us too, and her partner, Margot, are now taking on the flag of that incredible institution that represents our community. Thank you. Chloe Carl, the programming director for KPFC, is an out proud lesbian, and she is amazing. Harold Riley, my co-host, he is 90 years old. He got thrown in a paddy wagon because he had his arm around another man in LA and was persecuted for it. It's unbelievable, and he has withstood and been an advocate for this community for almost this half of a century. Ron Green, the late great Ron Green, he was the first one to give me a campaign contribution, and he was a friend of Harvey Milk. And that just made the world to me. And for me, I was elected in 2010. The people of Clear Lake decided that a gay man could represent them. In 2012, I was one of the first openly gay mayors in America. And the youngest in California at the time. I'm not young anymore. In 2014, Governor Brown appointed me to the Board of Equalization on the staff of Fiona Ma, and I got to represent the LGBT community, millions of LGBT Californians, as the LGBT liaison for that agency, and it was a great honor in my life. We got to pass legislation after the Valley Fire to protect people. We got to do these amazing things, and I've just had a great career in the wine business and hospitality here. This community has been so good to me, and I tell you these things not to self-aggrandize. I tell you these things not to have a queen self-centered moment. I tell you this because LGBTQ plus AI, we matter. We can make a difference. And our lives are worth something. Dustin and I, we've known each other for 25 years. We were scared to come out in high school. And hate drove us away for all that time, but we came back together, and it's amazing. Young people out there that are scared, that have the pill bottle or the gun, suicide rates in our community are outrageous. If you're in that position, reach out to some of these people I've mentioned. They are your allies. They will love you for who you are. It's not about sexuality, it's about human dignity. And any of these people I've mentioned are your allies. If you're being abused at home, if you're suicidal, reach out. I reached out to one of my best friends, David Patterson, when I was 16 years old, and I came out to him, and he protected me. And my life had meaning because I thought about it too. I drove myself into alcoholism because of shame that was put into me. There's people to help. There's groups like RCS, Redwood Community Services. They are there for you. Go to them, talk to them, because your life matters. You can make a difference. Stick around. What you hear out there in this country, the divisiveness, it doesn't matter. It's all a blip on the screen of civil rights and justice. So thank you all for this today. Thank you for celebrating Pride with us, and may the Creator bless you all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cara Faye Ingram. I work for Redwood Community Services as the TAE Program Supervisor here in Lake County. And I just want to say that queer, gay, trans, two-spirit people, we are everywhere. We are working professionals. We are community members. We are your neighbors. We are in this room. And regardless of anyone's opinions on gender and sexual identity, we deserve to feel safe. And unfortunately, safety is not a guaranteed experience. A lot of us were scared, not out youth, and there are still a lot of scared, not out youth. And because of that, the Harbor on Main is proudly hosting our second Pride Prom this June 29th. It is a completely free event for youth ages 14 to 25. There's going to be a photo booth, face painting, tarot reading, just to name a few things. There are flyers right here. So please spread the word to youth and encourage them to come be in a space where them and their allies can just be, and they can be safe, and they can be around adults who understand them and experienced the same scaredness that they might currently be facing. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Any comments from the board before we take pictures?
I couldn't say it any better than Joey or Denise, so.
Thank you all for being here today. I agree. There's a lot said here and a lot of heart, a lot of feelings that really matter. I really appreciate you all stepping up outside of your comfort zone because that's where the change is really made. So thank you for that.
See Marco.
Did you want to go to the microphone? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Helena Brook, and my wife is Margot Fleming. You may have heard of Margot and Friends Band. When we moved up here 4 years ago from the Bay Area, we weren't sure. We've heard about some conservative elements and seen some signs in Lake County that made us wonder whether we would feel comfortable in this community. And I'm here to report that we really do. I think the only places that haven't booked Margot, it's maybe her music and not because she's a beautiful trans woman. So thank you. It's very special. And we are hosting with Cinnamon, Bon, and Scott at the Wine in the Willows on June 15th, a Pride celebration from 4 to 7, and it is a fundraiser for the Pride Prom because we figure they might need extra flowers, extra something to cover costs. So even if you can't make it, there's flyers here. You can donate directly to them for the prom. So thank you.
I want to thank Joey and this upswelling of support. Last year, I think it was you, me, and Harold up there kind of doing our little thing, and even that was very powerful. But to see this, a lively group of proud and enabled people. But I'm still also stricken by the people who still don't have that power of liberation, who still struggle in our society. Not conservative, liberal, just intolerance generally. I remember when I went up to a business trip in Eureka, I took a little side trip to Ferndale, and beautiful and Victorian and all that, and sure enough, there's a little billboard on a church sign that says the local theater presentation of the prom was anti-Jesus and pro-LGBT, and it's just like, the intolerance comes from any number of places, but religious intolerance in particular continues to be a struggle. Not just in this country, but in other countries. So one reason I definitely want to celebrate you here is I know for a fact much work is to be done in our society, but we also have a responsibility to the global community. Our struggle here is going to hopefully inspire generational change in other countries in the future. But right now, the situation is very dire in many countries. So continue to support each other, be a light to our local people, but also be a light to the world.
Same. Thank you for being here. Michael hit it. I think the first few times we did this was 1 or 2 folks. So thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being yourselves. Thank you. Take your time. Picture. Oh, wow. Everybody look at it. Oh, whoa. Wait, I want to get all these smiles. Okay. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Got it. Don't even have to talk anymore. Okay. There we go. One more. Got it. Great. Thank you. We got Trevor.
So my name's Kara.
Want to make sure you didn't walk away without it.
And you're Kara. And then this is Kara. She's our
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for that.